Hi everyone, welcome back to another Escapement Show. Sorry it's been so long. We've had a month off, and I took a little holiday off, and I went to Ireland, and it was wonderful. Had an amazing time, and I visited Waterford in the south of Ireland, and the Festival of Time in Waterford.
Is Waterford the place where the crystal comes from? Waterford
Yes,
crystal?
that's correct, Jonathan.
Okay.
Yeah, Waterford Crystal.
hmm
They've made most of their money from Waterford Crystal, and it's the main industry there. But yeah, Waterford Treasures have opened an Irish Museum of Time there, and they had a medieval museum, which in the basement they had displays for all sorts of watchmakers. And Johnny McElharron, who organises it, tip my hat to you, Johnny. You did a great job. He got together a load of different watchmakers, some amazing ones, which you'll see in the stream. And yeah, it was just a fantastic festival of time. They had the inaugural one last year, so this is the second one. This was the second festival of time, and
is there any particular theme, Thomas, to the Festival of Time? Is it sort of focusing on, I don't know, independence or something, or is it just a bit of everything?
it's independence. It's basically independence, yes. So it's independent watchmaking.
Okay, cool.
From around the world. Yeah, so it's absolutely fantastic. I was blown away by it, and just see people who are interested in watches walking off the street and learning about watches and meeting these rock star watchmakers, and just talking casually. There's no pressure or anything. It's really laid back, very welcoming.
No snobbery.
No snobbery at all. No, no pomp like a big watch show like Watch Time or Watch Pro Salon or the other watch shows I can think of, or Watches and Wonders. No press hype or either. I think there needs to be more press hype about it. But as I say, people just off the streets walking in, and enthusiasts there, casually sitting back, having coffees with the watchmakers, and talking to them, and shooting the breeze. And
could you talk to the watchmakers about their motivation, why they went to Ireland to participate with that show?
You could talk to them about anything, yeah.
No, but I'm asking myself now, if you're a successful independent watchmaker, why on earth are you going to Ireland to participate at a festival of time and not maybe in Milan or in London or I don't know where?
I think Johnny McElharron organised it so that there was morning Pocket Watch Time. Good to see you, my friend. Good morning. Early in Florida. Glad you were with my friend. Yeah, I think that Johnny just organised it so that it was a window in the calendar where there wasn't anything else happening. So there weren't any other shows happening. It was before Watch Time. It was after something else, I think, and just reached out to all the watchmakers and to see who they wanted, who wanted to turn up. I mean, there was Ireland's John McGonigal from the McGonigal brothers, There was Kari Voutilainen, Simon Brett. There was Stefan Kadoki. There was morning Russell. Good to see you.
Yeah, morning, Russ. I love you too.
And yeah, just a whole host of people, which I'll show you. And but it was just a fascinating. It was from the 22nd to the 24th of September. So there are 3 days, from a Friday to a Sunday. So there are 3 days to just go and enjoy it. And it was £15 entry for the 3 days. So really was a fantastic affair.
I don't want to disrespect the exhibitor, but I'm still asking myself why would a successful watchmaker like Kari Voutilainen, who has a super busy calendar, join such a little show? I appreciate that, and maybe he's going to tell me, those small shows is where I can really get in touch with the collectors and with the potential clients and with the aficionados who probably will never be able to afford one of my watches, and I enjoy that. So I'm seriously asking myself, why in late September, when the high season is starting for all those watch companies, they're exhibiting then in Ireland.
Well, as I say, it was the inaugural show last year, and I think that Johnny is growing the show. He's really growing it. I mean, last year they had Vianney Halter, they had
Bernard Lederer as well.
Bernard Lederer, I think, yeah, and Thomas Prescher. Yeah, they're growing it, and I mean, this year I met people from. There's a lad from Hong Kong who travelled from Hong Kong, to Ireland.
As if in Hong Kong there are no watch exhibitions.
To come and meet Paul Gerber, and
maybe they were thinking, Jonathan, that Ireland is such a tax haven that there's a lot of cashed up people over there, so that it might be a good little market to sort of tap into.
You're right there, JCB, because Ireland is one of the richest countries in Europe now.
All the big headquarters for all the tech companies have their headquarters over there. So absolutely. Because of the tax treatment.
No, my question was not disrespectful. I was just curious why at this point of time this particular place. So I didn't mean to poke any fun or disrespect anyone. And I'm super happy that this was possible, because you, Thomas, kept me updated with your visits, and it was just mind-blowing what kind of opportunities you had to talk to those people live.
I think it's just good for the different watchmakers to spread their wings to different places, rather than just Switzerland, just America, just, the usual suspects. And it's good for them to get about and see different places. Hi, Y2K.
Hey, Y2K.
Hey, good. Hey, guys.
Hi. Good morning to Kevin Hawthorne. Good to see you. And Stephen L. Ireland is the richest country in the world because of its capital. It's always doubling and doubling.
I love that.
Doubling. That's an old Ali G joke, isn't it? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
And good morning, Chile. How you doing? Good to see you.
Chile.
And morning, William Rizzo from the Florida Keys. Early morning.
Will Rizzo. G'day, man. Long time no see. I was actually thinking about you the other day. I was thinking, well, I haven't seen Will Rizzo in the chat for the last little while. So good to see you, buddy.
Right, I'll crack on with some of the some of the pieces that I saw. Let's just share my screen. So there was a company called the Limited Edition there, and they're from the UK, a watch dealer based in Leicester. And the UK that specialises in sourcing and retailing independent watch brands. And if you look at the website, there's a whole range of top watchmakers. The representative from the company, I forget his name, had an interesting selection of watches with him. And this Philippe Piccolic done him a Starry Sky with an adventuring dial. It was gorgeous, I thought. £10,200 excluding VAT, or £12,200 including VAT. Diamonds at the quarter-hour marks. Very minimalist design. I know that Abdul R Watches has got himself Philippe Piccolic, and I think he's got one like this, without the diamonds. But
yeah, Abdul is missing here to spruik his friend Piccolic. So this was the first time that you've seen an aventurine dial, you told me.
Yeah, first time I've seen an aventurine dial, and it shimmered like anything, just sparkled.
Yeah. Do you know if that was a natural aventurine dial, or if that was a glass-based?
I didn't know. It looked glass-based, to be honest with you. Yeah.
The glass-based, to be honest, are even better than the natural stones. And I had the pleasure to see a Lange aventurine dial not a long time ago for the second time. The first one I saw was from Christian van der Klaaf, and it's just striking. If anyone hasn't seen an aventurine dial in real life, please do that. No picture can do justice.
Yeah. So this is another one they had, an Ophion OPH 786 Velos Salmon Guilloche, 39 millimeters, 24 hours power reserve. No, 120 hours power reserve. The movement was by MHVJ in Soprod, and this was £3,090 excluding VAT, which I thought was a bargain, and £3,700 including VAT, and I think it's a Voutilanen and Caton case.
Looks like that, yes.
Yeah.
Is the dial a guilloche, or is that printed?
I think it must be printed for that price. But it was a gorgeous watch, really was. Moving on, they had this Singer Imagine flyback on the road edition. Uses a flyback caliber AG6364 manual wide movement developed in association with Mark Wiederich and his team at Argonaut.
Is that manual?
I think it might be, yeah.
Because so far those chronographs that are also used in H. Moser, their basic or their most important feature is they have the rotor on the dial side and not on the caseback side.
Yeah,
but most of them are automatic.
The orange triangle on the outer ring is the hour hand, and the minute hand can be seen pointing to 37 minutes past, and the second end is part of the monopusher 60-second flyback chronograph, and 60 hours power reserve with 314 components made by Argonaut, limited to 10 pieces, with a gold number, which number it is at 5 o'clock just on the case. 18,000 excluding VAT this one, or 21,000 UK.
Yeah, that sounds manual then.
Yeah. Absolutely gorgeous though. It really was a nice piece. Moving on, never heard of this brand, James Lamb. The Origin Azure Limited Edition. He's an English watchmaker, James Lamb, and collaborated with US-based collective horology on this one. The dial's made from silver, and the three-dimensional geometric patterns laser engraved and then coated several times with a rich blue kiln-fired enamel to give a glassy finish. There's a decentralized white ceramic subdial that displays the time, and the round case is crafted from argentium 935 silver, which is much less prone to tarnishing and has a brighter color. And the lugs are then welded on before being painstakingly hand finished, looking rather nice at 39 millimeters and 9.75 thick. The movement is a bit of a shock on being only a premium grade sleeter mechanism, and every other element is made by hand. And this one was 7,300 excluding VAT, or 8,700 including VAT. Which I love the textured silver dial on this one, just this blue bit here. I really like that. So moving on to a Daniel Roth that they'd had with them, a La Santia Automatic Reference 177, encased in the signature Daniel Roth double ellipse case. The movement is assembled by hand and powered by a Daniel Roth automatic caliber based on the Giro Perigord 3100 movement, which is beautifully finished with Côte de Genève. And it features 21 joules and a 46-hour power reserve. This was 13,900. Classic Daniel Roth.
What's the case material, Tom?
Steel case. This one.
Yeah.
I think the hands had been replaced on this one for different style hands. And then this was an interesting brand I'd never heard of, Minasi Divio 2.1. A watch made by luxury Japanese brand Minasi, and featured a squarish box-shaped dial inside a round case with see-through openings visible at the top, bottom, and sides of the dial. And there's an elongated date aperture at 3 o'clock. An exhibition caseback reveals the caliber KT7001-1, Swiss-made self-winding movement, and finished by Minasi with a 38-hour power reserve. 40.5mm stainless steel case with a box-type sapphire crystal on a black rubber strap and folding deployment buckle. And this was a 3,476 excluding VAT and 4,172 including VAT. Now, they weren't selling these watches at the exhibition of time. They were just sort of exhibiting them, and I think sort of
those lugs are wild here on that watch.
Say again, Jonathan?
Those lugs are wild on that watch.
Yeah, really elongated, and but so this is their limited edition. This is what they were saying. Collector's Place. The limited edition is an online fine watch retailer, different to other retailers. Thanks to their SKIES, which is Search Knowledge Investment Evaluation Service method, they guide collectors into the selection of the perfect brand, suitable timepiece, collectible edition, and unique piece in order to help international clientele or collectors to create value with every item purchased. So they're sort of spruiking their services to sell watches to you. But
I'm just checking their webpage. They have incredible, unique pieces and limited.
They do. They have some amazing independent watches on their website. Yeah, it's well worth checking out their website.
Do they have a physical shop in London, or is it online only? Do you know that?
I think they have a shop in Leicester, in Leicestershire. Okay. Yeah, they do have a shop in Leicester. But they have some amazing pieces on their website if you want to check that out, the limited edition. But the first brand that was there, Martin Clocker from Sherpa Watches. Now, he loved the Enicar Sherpa watches from the 1960s and wondered why they weren't around anymore. And he found out that they went bankrupt in 1988 and were bought by a Hong Kong Chinese holding company. He wrote a letter to that company to try and revive them, but didn't get a reply. And a friend said to him, "Why don't you do it yourself?" And he thought to himself, "I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm not a watchmaker. I have no history in this." Later, with a group of friends, he went to Switzerland, visited Kari-Voutilainen and Fortis, amongst others. And Fortis were only operating with 10 people. Then he thought, if 10 people can maybe do it, maybe I can have a chance. And he researched on the 1960s Enicars and their crown system, which isn't screw down but is still waterproof. And also the case packs, which are waterproof. The super compressor cases are certified to ISO 6425 to 200 meters. And Sherpa, based near Dusseldorf in Germany, use the Swiss and German parts in their watches and movements, and taken from Solita and turned into mantramatic movements by laser engraving the Sherpa mantras onto the second wheel. Now, if I can just find the bit where he shows that. So you can just see there, they laser engrave Sherpa mantras onto the escapement wheel here.
That's insane.
You see it next to a coin, next to a 1-cent coin.
Yeah. That's crazy.
neat.
That's very, very detailed work there. Microscopic.
So the laser engraver is usually engraving. The laser engraver is usually engraving high quality knives, and he is now engraving Sherpa mantras onto the second wheel and escapement wheel, which I thought was it was fascinating to see that. But these are his watches, which are really nice. I thought I really like the steel version, the Ultra Dive. There's the DLC version, the DPS, which is 6,800 euros, and this steel version, the Ultra Dive, which is 6,900 euros. And yeah, I absolutely love the old Sherpa classics, the Enicar Sherpas, and thought that this was a really nice company. Don't know whether you're familiar with the Enicars, are you? Anybody?
Oh yeah, for sure. Not like familiar as in having handled them, but definitely, searching the eBay listings for vintage chronographs and stuff like that. You see them popping up all the time. Yeah, they're real cool.
Yeah. So we'll move on next to a bit of a rock star, and it's Carrie Russelainen.
A bit of a rock star.
Yeah. Now this first one was amazing. This has Japanese lacquer dial, which takes many months to make, and there's a 24-hour gold floral pattern, and everything that isn't gold is gold colored. Is made from natural colored shells, which are fired by hand and polished before being set and lacquered. And this was actually Carrie Russelainen's wife's watch that he made for her.
Mm.
And if you just see the dial, it's beautiful. It's got a lovely little cabochon on the end.
So this is a kind of negative engraving that is then filled out with lacquer. Is that correct?
It's yeah, it's what did I say? Yeah, it's gold, and then it's got natural shells are fired by hand to make the coloured bits,
Mm.
and then it's all polished, hand polished, and then it's lacquered afterwards.
Okay.
So the whole dial is lacquered afterwards. But I was blown away by this because it's not its usual sort of stuff, Carrie. It's pretty
Yeah,
different.
he must have access to some crazy Japanese artisans. I remember the last year's GPHG watch that he made out of those little shells, that world timer, and yeah, he must have some pretty good contacts to Japanese artisans.
Yeah. Yeah, you got a Japanese enameler to do this.
Oh, we have Abdul
Yeah.
in the
Japanese lacquer artist to do this. Oh, sorry, Abdul. Just go down. Oh, it's not backstage. Sorry.
No, he's on the train.
Yeah, he's in
Oh,
chat.
Yeah, and it's in chat.
It's on his way.
Yeah,
Travel safe, Abdul.
that was the
See you soon.
movement of this watch. That was the movement of this watch, which I thought was lovely as well. Beautiful finishing by Carrie. So this was a smaller watch, but it was very like the Van Wheat that Carrie does, which is in tantalum. I spoke with Carrie in 2021 at Watch Pro Salon, and he told me the wait list for one of these was 3 years. And he told me at the Festival of Time that the wait list is now 7 years for one of these.
Not surprising.
7 years.
You can see the development that independent watchmaking took over those years. And,
Yeah.
Not sure if you heard the interview with Jean Arnaud and Recep Recepi on Hodinky, where they also talked about the uprise of independent watchmaking and the hype and the problems and the potentials that are lying there.
It'd be interesting, just as a bit of a tangent, like a 7-year wait, like it'd be interesting to see how much your sort of taste had changed in 7 years. Like, would you still want the watch after that long? Like, it's such a long time, you know what I mean? Like, I changed from year to year, let alone 7 years, you know, that's crazy.
Interesting point.
Just a thought.
Yeah, so here's the reverse. And the next one was my favorite. This was Carrie's GMT. And this one cost 138,000 Swiss francs. It's his GMT watch and had a spring-loaded pushable crown to advance the hours on the sub-register.
Wow, okay. So you push the crown, you don't pull it and then set the GMT hand, you push it. and then it moves.
I've got a little video which I
Mhm.
can just pull up. If I've not lost it. Here we go. So he sets the time first.
Nice.
We're just advancing 1 hour at once with
Mhm.
the crown.
But the base movement is still the 28, the 28, just like you saw previously, or is there a different one?
I think the base movement is the same as Van Wheat, yes. But that's the movement for it.
Yeah, looks very similar.
Yeah. And lastly was Carrie's GPHG nominated World Timer. And the case design came from a pocket watch that Carrie made for Only Watch, he said.
Hmm.
Again, it is a spring-loaded pushable crown to advance the city ring. Got a little video of that. Where he's advancing the city ring here with the push-down crown.
What did you think about that square case versus his classical?
Yeah, it's not for everyone. As I say, it came from a watch you made for Only Watch. It's not for everyone, is it?
I like it a lot. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
There's something different.
Yeah, it's very it's split a lot of decisions between a lot of people. I think it's limited to 10 pieces. This
Wow.
watch.
Actually, I quite like a square watch, and I feel that there's a lot of proper spacing that's given to it. We've always seen watches in circular shapes, and especially for world timer, I think this is just very beautiful. Actually,
It
I'm,
looked.
I'm not. Yeah,
I'll just
go
get
ahead,
through,
Thomas.
get through these. No, carry on Y2K.
Yeah, I like the whole concept of square watch. Maybe just do it at the leather because I get itchies with leather. So yeah, actually looking from he's holding it. I like the size. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
it's hard.
got a wrist shot. That was him wearing it.
Hmm.
So
I mean, it looks like a roulette table. It looks like a roulette, but the whole idea there's a day and a night also. The white and the dark, so there's actually a very nice contrast to it. And the whole emphasis to the 4 screws, the detail and everything. I actually do find a square watch in this configuration very, 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 very legible. Yeah, it wasn't compromised. It was very well thought out actually.
it was
Come on,
very
it's a
legible.
cushion case, Y2K. It's a cushion case. It's not square. Come on.
Oh, that coming from JCB, poking me up the bum with a screwdriver. That's sort of.
Hey,
Let's remind it's a cushion.
it's some weird material too, as well, isn't it? It's like platinum or white gold or something. It's not steel, right?
I can't remember what the material is for this JCB.
Yeah, okay. I'll look it up or something.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's white gold or whether it is some other.
Some sort of precious metal or something. I'll look it up.
For 198,000 Swiss francs, it should be something quite precious. but it's beautiful.
Actually, Russell 996 pulled up a very good point. Square watch, square movement. I'm guessing it's probably a normal circle movement in the circle configuration, but we really need to see the back of the watch.
I don't think that
Okay.
that is a square movement.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's around.
it's a round one. Yeah.
Looks like it. Yeah.
No,
Maybe
it
Russ
is.
says he wants a square movement in a square watch. Maybe that is what he's telling me. So this one is participating in the GPHG. The case material is steel, and the price is 200,000 Swiss francs.
Yeah, I remember, Jonathan, when I was looking at the GPHG things, and I was looking at the price, and then I thought that's why I thought it was a weird material because of the price. Like something stuck in my head, and I was like, a steel watch that much? Like, come on, that's crazy.
Hasn't he given one of those square watches for only watch? And I think that was an exotic case material. I'm just checking.
Right, yeah. It has slightly different coloured dial. It was yellow and green, I think, the dial for only watch. But yeah, so that was the master carry. I even managed to. He had 3 little polishing cloths in his display case. And when he was packing up on the Sunday, I asked him if I could buy one, and he reached in the cabinet and gave me one of his polishing cloths with Vita Lenin written on it. So that was my trophy of the event.
Worth 20,000 Swiss francs too.
So the only watch that he gave is in titanium,
right?
With green dial.
But it's such a nice man to talk to, Carrie. He's such a gentleman.
Unless you ask him if he's using module chronographs.
Oh, we won't talk about that. Anyway, we'll move on. So, Stefan Kadoki, and he's got some great stuff. This is his Kadokopus, inspired by an octopus from the 2008 Football World Cup. They were supposedly predicted the results of the matches, and he said that an octopus is also a flexible animal to incorporate into a skeleton watch, and which it is. If you see here, it's you can see the skeletonization. You can see the octopus. There's the back of it. The tentacles even wrap around the back, and you can see the movement. And quite a fun watch.
Thomas, I'm posting a comment here in the comments. Can you give me a wrench that I can time Russell out for asking stupid questions?
I can't give wrenches, I'm afraid. I don't have the power to do that.
You don't have the power. Oh, too bad. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I don't have a wrench myself. So yeah, this one was this was the Kadoki 3, and Stefan worked for Glass's Original in the past and liked the retrograph watch with a counter function under the dial, he said. And there's also an English pocket watch with a minute multi-layer dial that was an inspiration for the Kadoki 3 regulator. And the movement is also inspired by an Old English watchmaking interpreted in the Saxony style. And this is really nice, I think. I was a big fan of this one. And if there's a video of it, I'll just sorry, my photographs were mixed up. But this is the you can see the different levels of movement finishing that are available with the Kadokis, and this is the basic movement finishing of the Kadoki 3, and then you can see the difference here. The Kadoki 3 on the right and the Kadoki 1 on the left has a slight cutout in the plate, and then the Kadoki 2 on the left has, for an extra €3,000, you get artisanal engraving on the movements, which takes around a week to finish, as you can see this on this Kadoki 2 on the left. And it's just amazing to see.
Yeah, I really like Kadoki, particularly because his movement is so unique, and you don't find anything else anywhere else. And his prices are really down to earth.
They are, yes. It was €9,000 for the Kadoki 3, yeah. And yeah, I just loved his watches. I stood talking to him for ages, and him and his wife. And they're lovely people, and his enthusiasm is just overwhelming. You know, it just comes in leaps and bounds, and yeah, some beautiful watches.
Was he there together with his wife, or was he alone?
Yes, he's with his wife. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So here we have, from left to right, the Kadoki 1, the Kadoki 2, with a day-night indicator on the top, and the Kadoki 3. And this is a different one that his wife showed me, which had a lady's watch, it looked like, a floral dial and leaf hands. And this was Stefan's favourite watch of the range, the white dial Kadoki 2. Mm. So that was the favourite one that he likes out of a lot of all of his watches that he makes.
Can you go back to the ladies' watch, because I have to be the critical German here, but that second hand is so totally out of place, in my opinion.
You think? Yeah, it should be just a two-hander.
Yes.
Yeah. Lovely design, I think. Yeah. There's his watches in the in his cabinet. So this is some Andreas Strayer watches. I'll just skip past these because I'll come back to those. And John McGonigal's Elon watches. So Paul Gerber, one of the original old school independent watchmakers, and his triple rotor watch uses a base ETA 2824-2 with 38 hours power reserve, and three 18-karat gold rotors on the back here, which are quite fascinating to see. They rotate to wind up the watch. 42mm by 12mm thick titanium case.
And they are interconnected so that they don't interfere with themselves.
Absolutely, yeah. So they don't bump into each other. They just rotate and go around. So they.
Do you have a video of that?
I do, but I haven't uploaded it to my computer, unfortunately. No. So they're 46 numbered pieces and gear shade and rhodium plated dial. Yeah, it's a fascinating watch. This is one of his signature pieces, the triple rotor. But unfortunately, he's not making them anymore. He's He's gone into retirement, basically, Paul Gerber. And the Wave watch, this is an annual calendar monopusher chronograph that was a collaboration with just let me skip past.
Is that Vincent Ox?
No, it's a collaboration with Paul Blöchliger.
Okay.
Blöchliger. And it has a minute counter because it's just seconds on the front and the annual calendar. It has the minute counter on the top of the reverse.
Okay.
So you can just see there's the minute counter.
You can see that the base is still 7750, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
But heavily modified. My God.
So it has a minute counter for the chronograph reverse on the watch. The wave pattern dial gets its name for the watch edged on the back. Wave there. And it's powered by, as you say, a Valjoux 7750. And the date aperture has the day, month, and date. Which this was one that he really liked and he was showing off. And this lovely, where am I going now? Waterford reference. This is a Waterford reference. It's a one-of-one piece, unique, that was made, one-of-one piece unique that was made by Paul Gerber and a recently graduated watchmaker called Annie Weber, especially for the Waterford Festival of Time. And he has a small luminous plaque on the movement, just there, which says inscribed Waterford 2023, and is engraved one of one, just at the, you can just see there, one of one. And Festival of Time is also engraved around the guilloche on the dial, and it's 42mm steel case excuse me, and houses a caliber 55W with an oversized balance wheel with large screws. And the Escapement has a mustache palette and a Breguet hairspring. And the movement is hand decorated and is a manually wound movement operating at 2 Hertz. And this watch will be auctioned by Philips as probably one of Paul Gerber's last ventures, now that he's almost retired, in May of 2024 in Geneva. So this is going to be auctioned off. The Waterford one. And there's Paul Gerber and his wife holding a couple of the watches. And Annie Weber, the young lady that he made the watch with, also made this watch, which was a really interesting one that he showed me. And I think she was wearing this watch. You had a galloping jump hour horse as the hour indicator, and a simple short golden stick as the minute hand. And I think Annie made this early in her career or during her studies, as it used a simple undecorated unitas movement. But if you just see the minute hand and the horse jump, so that you see there the jumping horse, the horse at 3 o'clock.
Oh, very cool, yeah.
So that's the hour indicator, that's the hour hand of the watch. that horse there, that golden horse, which I thought was really sweet.
It's a novelty, really.
Absolutely, that was one watch that she made early in her career, Annie Weber. And it's very undecorated Unitas movement.
Yeah.
But that was Annie Weber who he collaborated on the one of one piece with. It's going to be auctioned, and yeah, she was lovely and really enthusiastic and talented watchmaker that's just graduated. There's the watch. I'd love to try and get it myself if I could, but I'd probably go for astronomical money. So on to John McGonigal, and wow, what a watch he had. He's one half of Ireland's own McGonigal brothers, and Stephen McGonigal is now looking after the main McGonigal brand and his own McGon brand, and John has his own brand called Elon Watches, which stands for Ireland. Not Ireland the country, but translates to meaning an island. And this watch is John's Elon HB1, named after his children, Helen and Ben. And it's a triple date chronograph. The base movement is a Valjoux 88 caliber, which has been used by Vacheron and Patek, and was the same movement that was used in the original Paul Newman Daytona. And the movement is totally stripped down, and John makes new parts and adds them himself with a watchmaker he works with called Nick Wolfe, who's worked with Patek Philippe and Roger Smith. And the parts are refinished and redecorated. The bridges are refiled, and then they are if they're blunt, they make them sharp and beveled by hand. This harp-shaped bridge is brass and then gold-plated, and takes 2 days to make this golden harp.
Well, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 internal angles on that part.
It's beautiful, yeah. And there are about 400 components in this watch. And it's absolutely stunning. The titanium case also comes in a DLC coated version. And it's 40 millimeters in diameter and 14.2 thick. The case looks tapered, and the chronograph pushes are trapezoidal and buttery soft to press. And there's a real depth to this watch, both from the front and the back. And John can slightly customize the dials and or engrave parts for customers. And he only makes 8 of these watches a year, and they retail for €32,000 excluding taxes. So there's hours, minutes, small seconds, day, date, day, month, moon phase, and chronograph. So it's a pointer date, and you can see that it's got all these different the day wheel and the month wheel, and the moon phase at the bottom.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely beautiful watch.
Right up my alley, that watch. Love that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It
I would
really-
probably customize the dial, like the finishing a little bit. It's very flat, sort of white.
Yeah, I spoke to another friend I met in Ireland, and he's got one on order. He said he's had it on order for 2 years, and he's made the outer ring slightly blue.
Yeah.
Or he's made it blue, so not white, and then the inside ring is white. And then I think he's made some of these sub-dial rings, different color, blue as well.
Oh, yeah, that would look cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's altered the colours. So John can customize the dials for you. And
How do you pronounce the brand, Thomas?
say again?
How do you pronounce the brand?
Elon.
Elon.
As in like, okay, it's pronounced E. Okay.
No, it's pronounced Elon.
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 Elon. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like Oilian.
Oilian?
Yeah, Oilian. It looks like Oilian, but it's pronounced Elon.
Is he from Scotland or from Ireland?
Ireland, from Ireland.
Okay.
It's got Ireland at the bottom, so that's where it's made. He's based in Ireland, and that's where the watches are coming out of. He's yeah, they're absolutely astounding watches. Just really beautiful watches. And here's the man himself, John McGonigal. I went for lunch with him and we had a good chat. And I was chatting with him at the festival, and he's such a nice man, such a genuine man, and very open to sharing knowledge and telling you anything you wanted to know about the watches and his experience and his his past in watchmaking and what he plans in the future. And he's a very open guy, really lovely man, honestly.
Did you talk with him about how he's sourcing those value movements? Is he still having old stock, or?
Yeah, he's got quite a few of the Value movements, the Value 88s, and the cases he has made for him. He doesn't make the cases himself. The hands he has made for him, doesn't make the hands himself, but everything else is he strips down the Value 88s and totally rebuilds them himself. And with his other watchmaker, Mr. Wolf, forgotten his name, Nick Wolf. Yeah.
Before we forget, just saying hello to Junior Johnson in the chat. Welcome, Junior Johnson.
Sorry, I'm avoiding all the chat. I'm on my photo album, so I'm having to.
And just in case somebody wonders, I'm in communications with Russ all the time. So when we are throwing slight insults, that is all in good spirit.
Yeah. Sorry about all the missing everyone in chat. Hi, Junior Johnson. Good to see you, as always, my friend. And so I'll move on. And let's see. I see Andrew Strera watch, some Zeitwinkels. I'll come back to Zeitwinkel. Rune Backendorf. Simon Brett. So let's talk about Brett. Yeah, Simon was displaying his GPHG nominated watch in the men's category, from the men's category, which I think could do well and win the grand prize. I think the Chronometer Artisans from France. Simon was very approachable and very happy and friendly, and I spoke with him about his past working with Jean-Francois Mojon, and he spoke very fondly of him, saying what a brilliant engineer he is, and that he's one of the best managers he has worked with during his short career. And when working for Mojon, he was part of a group of 6 engineers making movements for other brands. And Simon got to make movements for Harry Winston, Urban Jurgensen, MB&F, and HYT. He said that working with Max Booster was amazing because he has his own vision about watchmaking and doesn't care what people think about what he makes. and said that without Max, he probably wouldn't have expected to make a watch like this. The Dragon Scale Gold was made by an engraver called Yasmine, and she has many customers, but liked Simon's story and agreed to work with him. And Simon was very humble when I said that I hoped he wins the GPHG, saying it's always nice to win something, but not with the first watch, as he has to keep focused and improve things a lot. And it's probably a bit early, and only his first watch. But he said he will see what happens, and why not? Absolutely, why not? You know, why not win?
That is a very interesting point that you're making here, Thomas. So Simon Brett is new to the watch world. So this is his first watch, and it has been received with big applause. Earlier in September, I was meeting up with Recep wife, and she told me his startings when he started with his own watches. And he was developing it for 3 years, and for many years nobody really wanted his watches. So Simon Brett is really blessed and lucky to be everybody's darling right now. But there is no automatism, and most of the watchmakers that you met, Thomas, I'm pretty sure they experienced those lows right at the beginning. Nobody's really interested in my watches. How can I make a living out of that? How am I going to finance my next project, and so on? So
yeah,
it's not always like it happened with Simon Brett, but he totally deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the 12 subscription pieces in zirconium have been delivered now, and he's planning 99 pieces in titanium, 99 in rose gold, 99 in steel, and 99 in platinum. And the prices will start at 65,000 Swiss francs for the titanium and go up for the precious metals. And he's also planning a new complication for 2026, he said, which is interesting. But that's the back of it with the black polishing and beautiful. Yeah,
with the conical patterns on the barrel wheel, barrel covers. It's such an amazing piece.
Really is, yeah. And
what's that about 40 mil, 41 mil, something like that?
I think it's 40, yeah.
About 40 mil, yeah. And there's Simon himself holding his watch. A really nice gentleman to chat with.
Babyface. How old is the guy?
He'd be in his mid-20s, I would guess. Or, I think maybe 30.
Yeah, maybe probably. Yeah, he looks about 30, early 30s, maybe.
But yeah, he's an absolute gentleman. As for all the watchmakers there, I mean, yeah, a real gent. But another upcoming superstar of the watch world.
Was he officially announced there, or did he drop in the last minute?
No, just dropped in. Just like all the watchmakers. No one was announced. It was just
no, but was he on the participant list for 2023, or was he a last minute call?
I think he was a last minute call, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Guys, my voice is going away, so I thank you for having me on the panel. It's time to have some tea and probably some rest.
Okay.
You have a good show. Good to talk to you
Jonathan.
guys.
Thank you, Jonathan. You take good care and get well soon.
Thank you.
So this was the basement floor where the show was held, and it was you can see some of how the stands were where people had their watches, and so different watchmakers, and but the next man was Andrea Strela, and he's a real heavyweight in the movement making world, And although he couldn't mention all of the brands he's worked with because the contracts are quite strict, he told me about making movements and parts for Moser, Maurice Lacroix, Walt Watches, Doppelganger, Vianney, Halter, Sarpaneva, Gronfeld, and many more. And as he said to me, he's the one behind the scenes. His company has the capacity to produce any kind of mechanical watch part, he said. And the watch he's holding is from his new sub-brand, Ströer Watches, which is different to his Andreas Ströer brand. It's made in a series, not one by one, with the series being 50 watches a year made for a wider public. The movement has been built for this watch, which is all made in-house. It cost 20,000 Swiss francs before tax, and it's called the Sirna. And Sirna is the short version for the town that Andreas works in. And Andreas actually holds the Guinness World Record for the most precise lunar phase wristwatch, the Centrale à Lune Perpetuelle, with a deviation of 1 day in 2 million years. Andreas seemed transfixed with the remontoire mechanism. I'll just show the back of the Sirna there. And said about the remontoire, it's an application of mechanical solutions. And he integrated a remontoire into his transaxial remontoire tourbillon, which I'll just show you here. So this is a transaxial remontoire. It's a tourbillon with a remontoire on top, I believe, or underneath.
Pretty cool.
But the transaxial remontoire tourbillon had the remontoire underneath the tourbillon, and Seiko used the same mechanism in their Kodo Constant Force and said they were the first to do it. But Andreas did it 4 years before Seiko, and Seiko asked twice the price that Andreas did asked for is. And the World Timer has a remontoire, so this World Timer has a remontoire. All of his complicated pieces with technical complications, Andreas prefers to put a remontoire behind them because they maintain the same power of the escapement independently of the power consumption of the complication. So they keep precise timekeeping even though they have to drive extra functions. And the lunar exact moon phase uses the Guinness World Record breaking most precise phase of the moon indication ever made, only off by 1 day in 2 million years. And you can read and adjust the moon with a precision of 3 hours, which is unique to it. Andreas tried to educate me on remontoires, saying it's a device before the escapement just to maintain constant energy on the escapement, to keep timekeeping always regular. It feeds a constant force to the escapement, and when you have constant force escapement, the elapsing time between recharging the spring is different. A contrast force escapement recharges on every impulse, but Andreas's remontoires recharge every second, whereas the Gronfeld 1941, for example, recharges every 8 seconds. But in the long term, it all ends up being the same because both types of remontoire feed the escapement with the same amount of energy. Andreas prefers remontoires to the fusée and chain mechanism because that only compensates the theoretical error of the spring. And the fusée is a fixed form. If the spring doesn't fit or the curve, it overcompensates or undercompensates. Plus, it doesn't compensate the power transmission of the gear. And the gear also has some variation because it compensates the source, but not the results. And the repertoire compensates everything which happens before the escapement. So for timekeeping, it's better and more useful than the fusée chain, which just regulate the variation of the mainspring, but not the other errors that can come into the movement. So even temperature can affect the greasing effects of the jewels and of the springs, which aren't compensated by a fusée. But a repertoire even compensates all these little variations, so it always maintains the same amount of energy. And Andreas said it's a bit like philosophy, but you can always prove that it works. So sorry for bombarding you with a bit of a gobbledygook there, but I just found that pretty fascinating.
No, that was cool. While you were talking, I'm just looking at his website, and far out. I've never heard of this guy before, and just looking at the pieces, they're absolutely mind blowing.
Yeah, this was his Papillon d'Or, and this is the iconic watch of the Andreas Strauss collection. He made the Papillon Classic first, and this shape movement, and then made two of the watches, and then the Papillon d'Or, which is the elegant movement with differential gears for power reserve indication. And it also has some little details like sapphire wheels, a conical winding, and all with extraordinary finishing. It's more aesthetical, but still very technical, and a lot of handwork and finishing. And I asked him which piece he was most proud of, and he said it's always the last piece. Yeah, mind-blowing stuff from Andreas Strauss, and he really is a powerhouse of the. I think he had a lot to do with the Motor Streamliner perpetual calendar.
Yeah, right.
Excuse me.
Oh, bless you.
But yeah, he's a real.
This price there, Thomas, is 123,000 Swiss franc.
Yeah.
Just in case anyone was interested.
Yeah, he really is a powerhouse in the watch movement making industry. He works for consults so many companies, and
Is this guy sort of popular or well known in the indie circles? Like as a brand, not as a maker, but as a
I'm not sure how popular. I'm not actually too sure how popular his own brand is, the Andreas Strauss brand. But this his Cerner watch really is a lovely piece. This £20,000 more accessible one.
Yeah, look at that dial. It's crazy.
Yeah, really nice.
What I like is he makes thin watches. They're all like 10 millimeters, 11 millimeters.
Yeah.
And none of this 14 millimeter stuff. It's cool.
So I'll move on to Zeitwinkel, and Albert Edelman, who's one of the co-founders of Zeitwinkel, was at the festival representing the brand, and it was started by 3 friends in Germany, and the name Zeitwinkel translates into time angle. And the watches are made in-house in the factory in Saint-Imier, Switzerland. And many parts are produced by machine, but are highly finished, like the German silver plates that they use for their movements. Every watch is assembled, regulated, and tested by hand. And they have 3 watchmakers in their factory. Their Sapphire Fume watch in the picture has the brown sapphire dial, which they also produce in blue now. The indices are grown by a galvanic lithography. So I was told by Peter, one of the other co-founders at a watch show. And the sapphire dial is tinted by a special coating on the backside applied by a plasma process. It features a sub-second dial at 6 o'clock. I'll just try and make it a bit bigger. Features a sub-second dial at 6 o'clock, a power reserve at 2 o'clock, and a big day at 11:30. And high-end modern German watchmaking style, but made in Switzerland. All watches are made to order and take about 4 months to build. And the 39mm cased. So this is a sapphire fume, sorry. And they make a sapphire blur as well. The 39mm case colored dials have a concentric pattern, which is this one. And they have a concentric pattern using the brand's W logo, which is laser edged onto the dial because it's too intricate to be gear shade on. Then 20 layers of lacquer are hand applied to the dial. And these dials were 3 years in the making to develop. And Zeitwinkel will be appearing next week at Watch Time New York, and Albert's really looking forward to that when I spoke to him. So anybody going to Watch Time New York, check out Zeitwinkel. They really are really nice brand. I'll just go through. There's Albert himself showing off his watches, and I'll just go through a couple more that I passed earlier. A couple more Zeitwinkels. Here's some. That's one of their watches. There's another one. There's another. You can see that's like the fume dial, but without a fume dial. It's got the power reserve and the small seconds and the big date. And that's the sapphire blur, the blue sapphire dial. And then these are more the different colors of the ones for the concentric dial patterns. As you can see, there's a red one, which is quite prominent. So that was Zeitwinkel. So next up, Mark Jenny. He makes his own watches, but has also started a company called Noble Time, which with a friend called Vicente. And the watch he's holding was his first creation in 2010. Doesn't have a crown, but is wound and adjusted by using a ring that is inbuilt to the case. And you press the button to change the ring's functions. It uses an ETA movement that Mark modified. And Noble Time work for companies who want to make their own watch line. So there's Carl Sushi and Son, and various other brands that Noble Time have worked for. And Mark likes to use different ways of displaying time, and for this Armando Legend watch, he used a transversal mechanism, he said, where the semicircular disc rotates, and also the hour disc underneath. And in this photo, the watch is displaying 11:54. So the disc underneath rotates with this big pointy hand, and the hours rotate, and then it also rotates, the semicircle rotates and points to the minutes underneath, minute track. So 60 minutes is at the bottom. And I should have put a video of this because it's quite fascinating to read, but it's quite hard to adjust your eyes to. And in this, it's using a washer automatic movement, but it's
'Cause it's not an angle, I think, Tom. It's a bit weird. If it was sort of straight and you were looking at it, like if the 12 was at the top, and do you know what I mean? Like in that.
well, it rotates. This disc rotates, so the 12 does actually go to the top as it moves round.
Okay, so what's the point? What's the pointer? What's that? What's going on there?
So this is a static pointer with this pointer to point to the minutes and this pointer to point to the hours. Now this static ring rotates all the time. So this whole section rotates all the time. And as it rotates, pointing to the minutes, the disc underneath with the hours also rotates. So the disc moves from 11. The disc rotates anti-clockwise. To move the hours.
Oh, okay. So is that the hour? What's the hour at the moment? Is it 12 or is it 1?
So the hour it's just past 11, coming up to 12.
Yeah.
So the hour is pointing to 11:55 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's quite hard to adjust to. It's quite hard to.
You'd have to see like a time lapse video of it.
Yeah, it's quite a hard time telling device. Yeah,
especially when you just look up and you're not used to the sudden. But I guess over time, you have to get used to it.
Yeah, your brain would get
used to it. I should have put a video in because
imagine waking up with a hangover and reading that. You'd be fucked. You'd be like, where am I? What time is it?
Hi, Bobby Legs. Good to see you. Good to see my friend.
Hey, Bobby. Hey, Bobby Legs.
Good morning.
JCB, that's if the watch is still on your wrist, not gone.
Yeah, this is another watch that he made for in 2015. Nobel Time made this watch for clockmaker Mickey Aletta, and wristwatches were too small for him to make, so Mickey came up with the idea, and Mark made the watch called the Time Burner. It has a rotating system, and the hours indicated on a rotating wheel, and the minutes are read with a piston that slides on 2 pins and indicates the time on the top, on the bottom. So you see here, this piston has minutes from 0 to 30, and then from 30 to 60 here.
That's cool. I like that.
And so that's the readout. It uses a hand-wound unitask movement, and it's in a titanium case, and 25 were made, and they cost 7,750 Swiss francs. I did actually get a video of this one just to show you. So you can see the hours rotate on a disc at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then the piston points to the minutes.
Yeah.
On the tracks on the top or bottom.
Yeah, the top of the piston, like at the line there, is the minutes. That's cool. Yeah, I really like that. If you're a car guy, you'd love that. That's dope, man. Yeah, real cool.
So this one was Mark's latest sub-brand called Caldera. And this watch is called a time capsule. The dial is made of compressed ashes from an eruption from the volcano Mount St. Helen. which I thought was quite fascinating. It's basically a container that is 1.5 mil or 1.6 mil thick, which he fills up with ash and then puts acetine with it. And the ash can even end up moving, he said, and separating slightly. And Mark said that it's a bit like the Chopard Happy Diamonds watch, which I'm not too familiar with, but more organic and almost living. And it uses a quartz movement because it keeps the case thin and also doesn't damage the dial so much. And I asked Mark if he could use human ashes just for a joke, really, for a dial in the time capsule, and he said, of course. He could use anything that fitted into the 1.6 mil deep dial. Things like a newborn child's hair or material from a relative's clothing, which I found astounding. So you could actually use human ash in this for one of the dials of this watch, which you know,
It's a whole new level of. I mean, it's a whole new level.
that's a whole new
Yeah.
level of wearing something on your wrist, isn't it? It is a time capsule.
No,
Yeah.
it's interesting because we used to say that people will carry certain memories when the previous owner, like our parents or our loved ones, but now literally you have them in the watch. You know, yeah.
Well, that was very hypothetical that I asked him that. I mean,
Exactly what Abdul is saying. People would be putting their loved ones on their wrists. Yeah.
yeah,
Their pets or something like that.
yeah, exactly. Pets are
And the
shit.
robot.
Yeah.
Thomas, is the ash on the watch face? Is that? I mean, am I getting it right?
Yeah, the whole dial is
The whole
ash
dial.
from Charles
So
and Helen.
it's all a solid dried up plate. It's not like all going all over the place, right?
No, it's been
Okay.
been dried up, yeah.
Like
But he
compressed.
said it does move slightly, which I
alright.
found astounding. It's not got glue or anything with it. He said he just uses acetine, which I don't know what that is. But yeah, there you go. There's another wacky type of watch. So this guy was interesting. Patek Sugaran, spelled SJOGREN, from GOS Watches, and this watchmaker from Sweden loved working with Damascus steel for his dials and his cases. And the watch on the left was first developed for Only Watch, where he collaborated with Singer, who made the watch which Patrick made a Damascus steel case for. And the Northern Lights watch on the right has a silver gear shade dial, which is hand cut in Germany by a master craftsman, and then Patrick applies nano ceramics and color via a plating technique. And when the color is applied, it has to dry for half a day before it's baked in an oven. And it all started with the green coloring on the Damascus steel on the left, though, finding a way to color metal. And Patrick had the idea to make a Northern Lights style, and then he realized he could use the same coloring on the gear shay, and knew he found a way to use the color for another dial. Patrick has a steel maker who makes dials, and he does the finishing on the dials. And he has another Swedish knife maker who engraves the cases of the watches. And then the German Master Gear Show maker who does silver dials. But Patrick does a lot himself. He enjoys the designing and the case finishing, and the hands and crown and finishing to the dial. And also enjoys collaborating with different artisans. So there's Patrick himself with those two watches. and he uses Soprod and Le Jouperet movements and Schwartz Etienne in the Northern Lights watches, that's the pink one there, the Northern Lights, instead of the green. And GOS was the first brand to use Damascus steel, and others are now using it now, but GOS was the first. And there's another Damascus steel dialed one. And here you can see the dial in his hand is the raw dial that he receives from the blacksmith with a swirly pattern. And he then applies watchmaker finishing to the steel to increase luster. And he also etches the surface to make it more three-dimensional. And he can do heat bluing to it. So that's the raw Damascus steel dial that he gets. And there it is in a watch. So
Cool.
yeah, really interesting
Yeah.
to see.
I was just going to mention Abdul about the Zin, the raw dial reminded me of that one.
Really interesting to see this material being used, and you can see on the cases as well. It's got that sort of rippled, sort of almost like a tree rings you get if you chop down a tree. There, you can see on the pink one, those sort of rings.
Yeah. Interesting.
So yeah, Damascus steel. It was the first time I'd seen Damascus steel watches. Now this guy was something else. Cyril Brivednodo. Yeah, Cyril's is highly regarded by his fellow French watchmaker Simon Brett, and Cyril's based in Brittany, France, and started with timekeeping restoration, including old clocks and the like, and did that for 3 years, and has been watchmaking for 5 years so far. And the watch in the picture on the screen is his second wristwatch, and he's only made 3 so far, 3 different watches in the 5 years he's been working. On this watch still uses the free eccentric escapement, which was developed by 19th century Swiss watchmaker Louis Richard. And Cyril has made slight modifications to the original design of the escapement to put this watch, which took 3 years to make, and is named the Eccentricity. So it's called this watch the Eccentricity. The finishing's beautiful, and with frosted plates and bridges accentuating the beautifully executed anglage and dome-blued screws, and everything on this watch is made by hand. Everything's made by Cyril by hand without the use of CNC tools, except the mainspring, hairspring, and jewels, which were sourced from elsewhere. The Eccentricity watch is also crownless, you may notice, and is going back to traditional ways of pocket watches by being adjusted and wound with a key. So there's the back of it, and there's it with a key. So I was blown away by that.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
So you actually adjust the watch and wind it up with a key. So if you lose that, you're buggered.
Yeah,
You have to wear it on a chain around your neck or something. So it's 39 mil, has a power of over 40 hours, and is operating at 18,000 vibrations per hour. And Yeah, it's just I was just blown away by this. This is Cyril holding the watch himself. Another young watchmaker, as you can see, like Simon Brett. Excuse me. Yeah, but absolutely amazing. Amazing stuff. So, hop on next. Just show a quick video.
Yeah, so it's interesting the hours and minutes there, Tom. They're sort of moving around. They orbit around, I think. Did you get to see how that works?
Yeah, the hours and minutes are really interesting. So this is an hour hand in
Yeah,
this little circle here. So it's pointing to 6 o'clock now,
yeah,
and this rotates
yeah, yeah. It moves
around
around. Yeah,
this disc
Wow.
in a circle.
yeah.
So it's, if you look now, I'll just make it a bit bigger. It's
It's
pointing
like
to
25.
6:45.
Yeah,
That's a power reserve underneath.
yeah,
So it's pointing to 6:45, which is just a fascinating way of telling time, I thought.
yeah. Real cool.
And then to have it key wound as well, is just out of this world. It's just, I'd never seen anything like it. There's it on wrist. This is a Sven Anderson Day Discreet. And there's the Philippe Piccolic Sternheimer Starry Sky again. And the movement of it. And the Ophion and the movement of that. But this guy, Rune Backendorf, he was another amazing watchmaker from Copenhagen, Denmark. And he had a very interesting watch with him. He's been a watchmaker for 15 years now. Has been working creatively for about 4 or 5 years. And the other part of his business is conservation and restoration of public and private collections. And he loves working with bronze. And the middle case of this watch is made of bronze. And all the other case parts are stainless steel. And Rune said that bronze is fairly easy to work with, but he loved how it patinates over time. So I'll just see if I've got a little video of this one, so you can see the bronze case. The hands on this watch are stationary, and the ceramic discs rotate to display the time. So in the photo, one hand is pointing to halfway past 2, and the other hand is pointing to 30 minutes. So it's 2:30. I'll go back to that photo. He says he loves to play with how he can show and indicate time in different ways. And we talked about other mechanisms he has planned for the future as a creative canvas to try new things with watches. And this watch was inspired by a mechanism that he'd seen in a tower clock. so that the people near the tower could see the correct time. And when he saw the tower clock, he knew it would work well on a wristwatch. And this was a prototype, but will be a series of 10 watches selling for around 25,000 euros. And most of the parts are in-house, and the ceramic dials from a special ceramics company, the escapement balance and wheel trainer from a historical German movement, I believe called the AS 1130, and the barrel and the barrel arbor he had to remake because he needed to change the way it worked in the architecture of the movement and everything else he made in the movement. But a beautiful watch, really, really impressive watchmaker, this guy, Rune Backendorf. Yeah, he's a really interesting guy. So, Schofield, we're coming to the end, guys. If we're, flagging a bit, so sorry about that. But,
It's all good, all good. Keep going.
Yeah, Schofield Watches, Schofield Watch Company. This is a great British watch company. These are some watches that I saw from the British brand called Schofield Watch Company, which is run by the amazingly charismatic and super creative Giles Ellis. And I had lunch with him as well one day with John McGonigal. And he's such an amazing character. Giles had left for the UK by the time I got around to his stand, but I enjoyed having lunch with him, as I say, the day before. And also heard him speak at Watch Pro Salon and listened to him speak on the Alliance of British Watch and Clockmakers YouTube channel, which you should all check out. It's a great channel. There's some good podcasts on that. And Giles has a fascinatingly creative mind and started off as a graphic designer, and his watches won him a Paris Design Awards in 2022. He has a shop in Sussex, England, and Schofield strives to make beautiful and considered things, maintaining sustainable business to protect people and the environment while supporting those that do the same. And these are some of the watches that were still there when I got around to seeing him. And I did actually take one of the photographs of some watches of his, and he had lots of nice straps, and yeah, they're quite big watches. Maybe not for everyone, but really nice design, I think. And a British brand, a good old British brand. And he's one of the pillars of the British watch community, I think, Giles. Yeah, definitely. Schofield Watch Company, one to look out for. So I'll just move on to the last brand. There are all the watchmakers that were there. That was the thumbnail that I had for this stream. So we've got Paul Gerber, Annie Weber, Cara Voutilainen, Simon Brett, Rune Backendorf. There's Johnny, who organised it all. There's Brian Leach from Sidereus Watches, John McGonigal, Patrick Shergan, Stephanie Kadoki, Mark Jenny, and that's Mark Jenny's business partner. I've forgotten his name now. But that's a great photo there. There's Stefan Kadoki holding his favourite Kadoki 2. But on to Sidereus watches. Now, run by my good friend Brian Leach, who's based in Carlisle, Ireland. Is Siderius Watches, an Irish brand. Without Brian and the rest of the Dublin Watch Group, I wouldn't have found out about this amazing festival of time in Waterford. So I must give out a shout out to the Dublin Watch Group and Brian Leach himself. Brian's watches are hand assembled by his watchmaker in Ireland and is designed to celebrate the origins of horology and the marking of time in Ireland for over 5,000 years, where the earliest farming communities built vast stone monuments like Newgrange, which predates Stonehenge. So Newgrange is a stone monument in Ireland, and it's a time-telling monument for telling sidereal time using the sun, which shines once a year to down a passageway to illuminate the inside of the passageway, basically. I think it's once a year. It might be seasonal. I'm not too sure. You'd have to just look up Newgrange, Ireland, and check out that. The watches are 44 millimeters and adopt the shape of the monument Newgrange. And there are three ranges to the Newgrange. The Newgrange moon phase here. The Noth time and date, which is this one, which I'm wearing now. I bought one of these. And the Doth watch, which is a black PVD one, time and date model. All named after vast stone monuments in Ireland, Newgrange, Noth and Doth. And they use a Sellita SW200 movements that are modified. And that's the Doth. The Sellita movements are modified and have the logo of a star stamped out of the rotor. And the prices range from €2,275 to €2,600 for the moon phase. And you can see they say Ireland on the bottom, which is a really nice touch.
What's that case material?
It's steel, but I think this one's DLC coated. Mine's ion coated.
Okay, gotcha.
That's
It's
ion.
dark. It looks quite dark, but it's not like black. It's sort of like
yeah, mine's a grey ion plated.
Yeah, it's funky. I like it.
Really nice.
It's got a gunmetal look.
Yeah. That's right. Y2K. It's like a gunmetal look. And the wide array of straps available as well, from calf leather to these beautiful Irish tweed straps that you can see.
I meant to ask you about that, Thomas. The tweed straps. It's not. This is tweed in the tweed, and sometimes other straps you've seen like those nylon ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the tweed ones look a bit more frizzy,
These
but
are the tweed ones.
handmade.
I've got a tweed strap on mine at the moment. I got 3 of the tweed straps. Mine is this is the one I'm wearing now on the right. Just on the right. So this is a Noth one with one of these brown tweed straps on.
These are all handmade, is it?
The straps are handmade, yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. These are kind of hard to find.
With one tweed. Yeah, check out the Siderius.com. I'll just spell that for.
Just want to say hello to Brent in the chats. Good morning to
Brad.
you.
Good to see you.
Welcome,
Yeah,
welcome.
Brad. Cheers, mate.
Actually, where credit is due, Thomas, you've really shown a lot of brands that are on that hemisphere that is really quite unknown. I mean, I'll admit that I haven't heard almost half the brands. Oh dear.
Well, that's why we sent Thomas over there so he could do the legwork for us, Y2K, and give us the
And
info.
he is a brilliant,
He
brilliant
delivered.
journalist.
Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah, check out these watches. They're really nice. Yeah, Abdul's saying he likes the moon phase. That was a signature one that he started off making, and this one is even done a gold ring. I think it's 18 karat gold, or I'm not sure it's 9 karat or 18 karat. He's done put a gold ring into the bezel,
Right.
which is interesting.
Mm.
But the moon phase was the original one that started it all. The sidereal moon phase. So it stands for the sidereal calendar, which is telling the time by the sun and the stars. And yeah.
Cool. Guys, I'm going to hop off. I'm starting to flake out.
Yeah, that's it, really. That's the end of it. So we'll.
I'm going to start looking into Andrea Strehler. Not that I can afford any of his stuff, but that was mind blowing. His stuff. I really enjoyed that, Tom. So that was cool.
Yeah, you're
Thank you so
welcome.
much, Tom.
Oh yeah, thanks everyone for joining us in the chat. Sorry for missed anyone. Morning, Brian. Good to see you.
Hey, to you too, and to Thomas, man of the show. And we're missing Abdul today, guys, because he got delayed. The train got delayed, so Abdul couldn't make it. But we wish him well again. Yeah, and Thomas, really good job today on the all these brands in the other hemisphere. Yeah,
thank
well done.
you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Oh, and also happy birthday for it was your birthday a couple of weeks ago. That's why you were one of the reasons you went over for your trip. So happy birthday, man.
Thank you.
Belated birthday to you, Thomas.
Looks like you had a good time in there.
It had a great time in Ireland. Yeah, it was brilliant. Everyone's so welcoming and hospitable and was so generous. And so, yeah, if you enjoyed the show, guys, give us a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe. It's an invitation to subscribe. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that. And we'll see you next time. So take care, everyone. Look after yourselves.
See you guys.
See ya, guys.